Hello friends. In this video you will be able to see how to install Windows 11 without USB if you only have MX Linux on your disk. The video is from the series How to Install Windows 11 without USB switch from Linux, so if you are interested in another distribution, look in the video description. I wish you a pleasant viewing. I have installed MX Linux with the option to use the entire disk. The first thing we will do here is to download the Windows 11 ISO file from the official Microsoft website. On the Microsoft download page, search for and download the disk image ISO file. While we wait for the Windows ISO file to finish downloading, we will also download another tool that we will need, and that is GrubFM. In the search results for GrubFM, open the GitHub page for a1eve/grub2 file manager. On this page, search for the latest release and download the version in your preferred language. In general, the language does not matter much because we will use GrubFM to boot the Windows installation. Once we are done downloading the Grub file manager, we need to download Puppy Linux. Search for Puppy Linux on the web and download the latest version. From the Puppy Linux download page on SourceForge, download the ISO image appropriate for your system. Now wait for all downloads to complete and we will continue with the next step. In the next step we need to open the Thuner file manager as administrator. To do this, right-click on the desktop and select the option Open Root Thuner here. Enter your password. We open Thuner as administrator because we will edit the EFI folder and therefore we need root rights. In Thuner, open a file system, then sequentially open the folders boot, EFI, and again EFI where the boot files of your system are. In the EFI folder, create a new folder named GrubFM. As you might guess, we will install GrubFM in this folder. The installation of GrubFM consists of copying a certain file from the zip archive to the GrubFM folder that I created. To do this, I will open a new window of the file manager and extract the previously downloaded file. From the extracted folder, I will copy the file grubfm64.fe and then place it in the GrubFM folder. The next step is to create UEFI boot entries for GrubFM. Fortunately for us, MX Linux has a very handy tool for this. Search for and open UEFI Manager. In the UEFI Manager, go to Add Entries, for which you will be asked for a password. Enter the password and this will open your EFI folder. Now open the GrubFM folder you created and open the grubfmx64.fe file. Enter a name for the entry and click OK. When you are done, the entry will be added to the UEFI boot menu. Make sure the new entry is first in the list, and if it is not, move it up. This way, this entry will load by default when you restart your computer. It's time to reboot the computer to free up space for the Windows installation files. We will do this with the help of Puppy Linux because MX Linux is installed on an ext4 file system by default, and it cannot be resized once mounted. When the Grub File Manager loads, select the MX root partition and navigate to the folder with the downloaded Puppy Linux. Once you find the Puppy Linux ISO file, select it and run it. Now select the first option, Boot ISO Loopback Config. Here, select the option to copy SFS files to RAM and wait for Puppy Linux to load. When Puppy Linux boots up, you don't need to configure it, so close the windows and move on. Right-click on the desktop and open gparted. It is located in System Applications. As I said, what we need to do here is to free up space on the MX Linux root partition. It is important here to free up space on the right side of the partition, which is actually the end of the disk. This is important because at the end of the video we will delete this partition and add it to the Windows partition. You need to allocate about 10 to 11,000 megabytes, which is about 10 gigabytes. When you are ready, apply the changes. After applying the changes, create a new partition. Right-click on the resulting unrecognized space and select New. In this window, first select the new partition to be with the exFAT file system. It is very important to label the partition. Name it whatever you want, but remember it so you can recognize it later. I chose the label name win_install. When you are done, don't forget to apply the changes and then you can close the gparted. In the next step, we will copy the Windows installation files to the new partition we created. For this, we will use the Puppy Linux File Manager. I will open two windows of the File Manager for my convenience. In one window, open the partition you created, in my case it is win_install, and in the second window, open the MX Linux download folder where the Windows ISO file is located. Once you are done, click on the Windows ISO file and it will be mounted. Now copy all the installation files from here and place them in the new partition you created. Copying will take some time because about 8 gigabytes will be copied. When the copying is finished, close the open windows and restart the computer. Here again is the time to remind you to back up all important files from MX Linux, and if you have done that, we can continue. When the computer restarts, it will load the Grub File Manager again. When the Grub File Manager loads, press the F3 key to see all the UEFI boot entries on your computer. Now select and boot the UEFI boot entry located on the partition where you copied the Windows 11 installation files and wait for it to load. The first steps of the installation process are to select the installation language, the keyboard you will use, and its layout. On the next window, you must accept that Windows will be installed on your computer, and here you can also switch to the old version of the Windows installer. Enter your product key here, if you have one, or continue with I don't have a product key. Now select the version of Windows for which your product key is or you want to install. On this window, you can read the license terms and then continue. We have reached the most important part of the installation, where we need to specify where to install Windows. The most important thing here is not to accidentally delete the partition with the installation files, which in my case is labeled win_install and is the last one on the disk. Delete all other partitions and you will only get unallocated space. When you are ready, select the unallocated space and continue with Next. On the next window, click Install and the installation will begin. Overall, after completing this process, you will have Windows installed on your computer. You will then need to complete the post-installation process. I won't show the post-installation in real time because it's a really long process with multiple reboots, updates, and additional settings, so in the following footage you'll see the entire process, but at many of the stages the video footage will be sped up. After the actual Windows installation that just finished, the computer will restart automatically. So far everything has happened automatically, but now we have reached the point where you must first select your country or region. Now you can add another keyboard layout, as I will do by adding a Bulgarian keyboard layout. Now enter the name you want for your computer. Here, select the purpose for which you will use the computer. In the next few minutes you must wait for more updates and settings to be downloaded and installed. We have reached the point where you must log into your Microsoft account, and if you do not have one, use the option to create one. Enter the PIN with which you will log into Windows. Now select your privacy preferences. If you have any backups in OneDrive of the account you are using, they will be restored to your computer. There are still a few annoying settings with Microsoft suggestions, which of course you can accept or decline. This is the time to express my opinion that this is the most annoying Windows installer. I like Windows despite everything, but the increasing intrusion of applications and features in the installer disappoints me. But anyway, this is my opinion, and let's continue with a very important part of this video. Now that I have Windows 11 on my computer, I want to show you how to organize your disk the right way. To do this, I will download the Mini Tool Partition Wizard application, which I have been using for a long time. After downloading Mini Tool Partition Wizard, you need to install it. The process is easy and you just have to follow it. What you need to do after installing and running Mini Tool Partition Wizard. I want to remove the partition with the Windows installation files and add this space to drive C. To do this, I will first delete the win_install partition. Then I need to move the Windows recovery partition to the end of the disk. It is very important to be careful and not to enlarge or shrink the Windows recovery partition. Just drag it to the end of the disk and then apply the changes. Now the free space is right after drive C and I can add it to it. However, I will not use Mini Tool Partition Wizard for this, but Windows Disk Manager. The reason for this is that if I use Mini Tool Partition Wizard I will have to restart the computer, while with Windows Disk Manager it happens instantly. So I close Mini Tool Partition Wizard and open Windows Disk Manager. In Windows Disk Manager, right-click on the C partition and select Extend Volume. On the next Windows, continue without changing anything and finish the process. And that's all. Now there is no trace of MX Linux on my computer and I did this without using a USB device. I wish you the whole process to go smoothly as it did for me. If you still don't understand something, don't hesitate to write in the comments and if it is within my capabilities, I will try to help you. Thank you for watching and see you soon.